guys. So today is the day that the T5.1 that we've been working on for the past 8 to 9 weeks, I think, goes home. So yeah, it's time for it to go home. Thought I'd do a quick video, show you around, do a little bit of an explanation. It's all on the fly, so there's nothing professional about this one. I'm just gonna walk around and yeah, explain a few things, because we've done some stuff on Instagram TV and stuff like that. Trimmed a few things on live and put some on our feed and things, but we haven't done a you know, a video for explaining exactly what's been done and to what depth. Right. So starting off at the beginning, when we first took it in, we completely sound deadened the van. Absolutely everything, roof, floor, sides, the whole lot. The only thing we haven't done in here is the grey carpet lining, which simply didn't have the time to get a new liner on there. It's not perfect, but it's certainly not the worst of things that was going on in here. Secondly, what we did, we got in touch with Mike from New Wave, brilliant guy. He did the roof rack on customer's request. He popped on a set of the Porsche Brembos for us. Well, Porsche colour, I think they're a VW Brembo. And he also put in this the rail floor with the triple seat, so that we could get moving on you know, on what we were building. Now the rack is, I'll try and see if I can get this working for us here. The rack, you may look at it and think, well, yeah, it could be prettier. Well, you know, it could, but prettier wouldn't mean that we could move the seat completely forwards all the way. This seat will move all the way to the front seat, and then all the way back to the sub boxes. And that's why it's designed in that stepped fashion, so that the contour around the edge of the seat there, if you can see it, it's pretty dark in here, wraps around the amp rack the whole way across, so it comes all the way forward. The rear speaker, we always intended on putting a rear speaker in here. We didn't intend on making a removable sort of multi-purpose rear speaker. We can actually take that unit out of there, plonk it here on the floor, or whatever, for if you're at the beach, or if you're surfing, snowboarding, whatever. I mean, the first drive this is going to the Alps, so hopefully you can use it entirely, you know, and yeah. But that was, we focused on the rear end first, making sure everything was functional. Meanwhile, Stu was building the sub boxes in the back. Now, the customer, you know, it just loves good sound, so 4 Isatar 1200s in custom enclosures. We put a sort of a diffusing panel on the front, so that, you know, part of the brief is that he can load his bikes all the way through, which is why the seat has to move entirely. And then we'll get some lockdowns or he'll get some lockdowns for the centre rails. But that should protect the sub boxes, and they look amazing. They've come out so well. Possibly my favourite part of this this build. I think that's about it in the back. I'm going to get a good shot of the roof from here, which we built. It's only our second sort of full length T5 roof, and it's come out really well. We're really happy with it. We used some different products in there. None of it's wood. It's all lightweight, and then it's trimmed in an Alcantara. So coming through to the front end, it's probably best we go around the other side. Yeah, coming around to the front end, we started on the door builds after the or during the sub boxes, the sort of changed over, which is a Dynaudio 8-inch driver in a sealed enclosure, and a 6-inch Isatar driver in its own sealed enclosure again. These are sort of there to mimic the bottom of the door card, but they're full solid enclosures, and they're pretty rigid pieces of kit. Nut and bolted to a deadened door. and then yeah, that was those guys complete. You know, we put a bit of access on the front on the sixes because they're a bit more locatable in terms of frequency, and then we moved on to the pillars. So we've got the utilitarian drivers in the pillars, 430 and the 110. These pillars are tricky. They're tricky to build, they're tricky to trim, tricky to keep looking nice for such large sort of HF drivers. But they're there. They're relatively on axis. They sound nice. They throw up a decent stage. The roof, which the front section of the roof, we put in the RSX GS9. Now this runs off of it's switch fed from the center console, so we can have the vehicle turned off and then have the unit turned on. We turn the processor on manually, and the system can run completely from its own battery, which is another thing we've installed. We installed a large battery into this van and split it to protect the front battery. So I'll turn that off for now. But this is a high resolution source. This is what we call an indulgence source. So if he wants to sort of stretch his legs on the system, we recommend he pops that source on and listens to that. It's probably the primary source, really. The new XAV AV8050D from Sony 9-inch CarPlay screen is more of a convenience source, so he can use his maps, he can do pretty much whatever his phone will do. This will mirror, and it actually sounds great, which is the reason we're on that deck. Is, you know, Sony units just sound fantastic. We fit the new MQB wheel. Yeah, that's in there. Supplied and installed the CS's. These are the new Sportster Cross CS, which has the lower side bolster, which might not seem like a big deal, but we use a lot of CS's and a lot of vans, and getting in and out of this is much more comfortable than it is with a normal high bolster CS. But yeah, these are lovely. They really tie in with the rest of the van, and they're sort of real comfortable to drive on. There's all sorts of other stuff, I think. I mean, the front roof lining is all trimmed to match the rear roof lining. We had to slightly modify certain pillars and stuff. That one was a right pain to get hold of. It was a special order one. Yeah. So the whole vehicle's wired with cord cabling, as you can see in the rack down there. The rack's pretty open because they're all Class A thesis amplifiers. They get warm. That's just the nature of Class A. Yeah. So it's a relatively open rack. The design kind of lends itself to you know, the way we had to design it so that the seat flowed past it, things like that. Kind of helps itself keep the amps cool. We've got the I can't remember the ScanStrut USB doodabs in the back, lockable, water resistant USB. So, you know, they're in there. There's 4 ports there for rear passengers. I very nearly missed one of the largest parts of the project, which was this center console. Nightmare in a T5. There's so many things you can try to do, and so many things that can't really be done. Come on, camera. There's a little bit of focus here. We ended up making things just sort of, you know, around other things. So there's a lot of shapes and you know, contours, but I think it ties in quite well with the CS's and the front of the van, really. Trimmed in Alcantara and vinyl, but it's actually a dual speaker enclosure. So there's a 9-inch mid bass on either side of this in sealed chambers, which play in stereo, which makes this a 5-way active front end. Switches in there. 2 of them are redundant there for future if we add things. They've got their feeds run. The other one is to run the RSX GS9, and this SMD voltage meter, so we can keep our eye on the running voltage of the battery when it's being used. Well, whenever it's being used, really, but mostly from its auxiliary batteries. yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up everything we've done, which may not seem like a huge amount for the time frame, but trust me, it is. The level that we keep these things to, it takes a really long time to get some stuff off the ground, you know, and to have it proven and reliable. The reason the van's a bit mucky at the moment is because it's probably had to do 200-300 miles to prove it, you know, to prove it sort of roadworthy, to make sure the amps stay cool, to make sure there's no glitches in the system, nothing loose, anything like that. Not that we don't trust what we do, but you need to test these things. This van's from sort of we're about 400 miles away, and yeah, we don't want it going wrong, because well, it wouldn't be nice, would it? So yeah, we'll put a little bit of a track on, and that'll be us. Don't forget, everything that is in this video, everything that we put in any of our videos, it's all come from here. It's all supplied, fitted by ourselves. We tend to stick to that rule as well. So anything you see that you might like, just give us a shout. We're available. We'll put everything sort of in the comment section for you to get hold of us. We try and make it as easy as possible for people to get in touch with us. So give us a shout. All right. Thanks.